The very popular television program called This Is Your Life started in America by a man called Ralph Edwards at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, one of those old-fashioned hotels that was very atmospheric, where all the film stars used to go. And that ran for about 9 years, catching out some of the top celebrities of Hollywood. And then it came to this country in 1955, and the host was Eamon Andrews. He had 2 spells with it. One ran for 9 years, and one for an unbelievable 16 years. So a total of 25 years of This Is Your Life. I was very privileged that I was one of the subjects. Of course, you really don't know that it's going to happen to you, and you have no idea how you might react on the day. Well, I'm going to show you a clip with some explanation of what happened when they caught me.
This is Your Life, and this is the 40 Crest Bloomsbury Hotel in London, where at the moment the annual banquet of the Magic Circle is in full swing. You've just been watching the Pendragons, the internationally famous illusion act, and they're going to help me to trick a man who is renowned for being the master of mystery and imagination.
The one question everybody asks you, did you really not know that they were going to catch you? And I genuinely did not know. In fact, they have a policy that if the subject finds out beforehand, they just cancel the show, because the whole point of the show is the element of surprise. Let me just give you some background information on what happened to me. My wife Ruth and I had gone to one of the many show business funerals of our friends, and I was just parking the car when I walked towards the church, and I saw Ruth talking to some friend of mine, a comedian called Joe Church and his wife Pat. And as I approached them, she turned away suddenly as if she'd been caught out, which was very unlike Ruth, as she's normally very open, and I think I would know most of the conversations that she has with friends. It just entered the back of my mind. I had to make a speech at that funeral, and I forgot about it. A few weeks later, we were driving to a hotel in the West End of London where the Magic Circle was holding its annual banquet. I happened to be president at the time. I was president for 9 years, and I'm a bit of a control freak. I like to organize things myself, so I'll make sure that the table plan is correct, the menu has been picked, the band has been chosen, and we have a good cabaret, and of course the awards have to be given out that night, and I get involved in all of those things. I also had a lot of top table guests, and I wanted to make sure that they were seated in the right place. I had some presents for the ladies in my suitcase. I had some cash to pay the cabaret artists, and so on and so on. And as we were driving to the hotel, I suddenly remembered the conversation Ruth had with my friend Joe Church, and I said, by the way, when we were at the funeral the other day, what were you talking about to Joe and Pat? And she said, oh, it was nothing, I can't even remember. And I didn't think much more about it. It was such a strange coincidence that I would remember that on the way to the night when they were going to catch me. But of course I had no idea. When we arrived at the hotel, I saw some cameras, and I wasn't surprised because the head of Light Entertainment, John Fisher, had phoned me and said, there is a chance I might be able to get the Pendragons to be in the cabaret. Now, the Pendragons were the top illusionists of their time, and it would have been a fantastic accolade to get them to the cabaret. He said, but we need to give them something in return. We need to honor them, and they would love to become members of the Magic Circle. Well, I had a little problem with that because at that time we didn't have any women in our club, and although I'd been pushing very hard to allow women members to be allowed to join, we had a problem because it was the Pendragons. And now we have a degree which says honorary professional, and they would have fitted into that degree, except that she was a lady, and we had no lady members up to that point. So I had quite a tough struggle with my committee to eventually allow them to become honorary members of the Inner Magic Circle, in brackets professional. And on the night I was going to present them with that. Quite a sensational breakthrough. And that's why I wasn't particularly surprised to see the cameras, because I knew that John Fisher said they would be doing a documentary on the Pendragons. When we arrived, I got busy making sure that all the table plans were in the right order and our top table guests were seated in the right place. And I noticed that some of my committee were trying to usher me out of the room because they knew what was coming. I didn't. They said, "You've done enough, it's all right, let's get out because the guests are going to come in." Well, during the dinner, which was going very well, John Fisher suddenly came up to me and said, "David, I'm very sorry, but the time is running late and the cameramen will not stay because of union rules, so we have to put the Pendragons on first." Now this was a big blow to me because you don't put the top of the bill on early. That just doesn't work normally, but I had no choice and I was very depressed about it. I said, "Well, all right, if that's what we have to do, but what a shame." So sure enough, they came on and they did 3 wonderful illusions, absolutely fantastic. They're both very athletic, they look very good, and they do the illusions faster than anybody else. And it was a sensation. The audience was applauding. I went forward to present them with their certificates, and that was quite a surprise to the members because we'd never had a lady member before. Now we had the Pendragons as a couple. And I was just going to take the medals out to pin onto them when Jonathan Pendragon said,
"Now I'm ashamed to say we only brought 3 illusions with us, but I still have one trick up my sleeve."
And he pulled me quite roughly to the side and said, "Watch." And I looked and I didn't see anything particular. So I turned back to him and he pulled me around again and said, "Watch." And at that moment, from the smoke came the figure of somebody I recognized immediately. It was Michael Aspel, who had taken over from Eamon Andrews after many years and was presenting this tonight. He held a big red book in his hand, walked up to me, and of course I realized what had happened. He said,
This is not an illusion. I am here in the living flesh to say, David Berglas, president of the Magic Circle tonight, this is your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think something has gone wrong here tonight because normally it's me who fools other people. I've never been fooled before, Michael. What can I say? We've known each other a long time, but I didn't think you'd put a dirty trick like this on me.
I'm a very untrustworthy bloke. Thank you very much indeed. Wonderful to watch your act and for your help as well, Pendragon.
And you can see on the clip that I turn around to Jonathan as if I'm going to punch him in the nose for pulling a trick like that on me.
Sorry, David.
Well, after I had been well and truly caught, I assumed that the banquet just continue and they would do this another day, but no.
The other dirty trick is that we are doing the show. I have to whisk you away with my magic wand to our studios in Teddington. That's where we're up to now. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. The night is young for you and, of course, for us.
I couldn't believe it. He said, "David, walk this way," asking me to follow him. Well, I had the presence of mind to turn around to wave to my audience. I had my top table guests, and I said to Michael quietly, "But what about the wine bill?" He said, "It's all taken care of. it wasn't. I said, what about the presents for the ladies? It's all taken care of. What about the wine bill form? I guess all taken care of. What about the other things that I had to see to the camera? He said, don't worry about it. So I believed him, and we walked through the kitchens into a car that was waiting outside. John Fisher, head of Light Entertainment, who was also a member of the Magic Circle, joined us, and we drove to Teddington. And in the car, John said, David, just relax, you'll enjoy this, treat it like a party, you're going to meet a few old friends, and you just act as natural as you can. And I assumed there would be a few people there, but I had no idea what was to come. Of course, this was unusual in many ways. Normally, people are caught in the street or in a theatre or somewhere like that. They're not formally dressed. In our case, of course, it was a formal dinner, so I was in a dinner jacket, and all my guests turned out to be in evening wear. Very unusual. Secondly, it was late at night, because he'd caught me in the middle of the dinner, which was late. By the time we got to the studio, it was probably about 10:30, and then they put me in a trailer. In fact, I was locked in. It was a very comfortable trailer. They had a table laid out with the most wonderful food, fruits and sandwiches and cakes and whatever you can think of was available, but just for myself. I thought there would be other guests there, but just for myself. There was a cloakroom and there was a comfortable couch. And I thought I'd be kept waiting for 20 minutes, maybe half an hour on hold. I was in that trailer for 2.5 hours before they knocked on the door. Well, it was an inopportune moment because I had just been to the toilet, and doing my trousers up, the little clip that holds the top of your trousers had stuck out and cut my thumb right across, and I was bleeding profusely when they knocked on the door and said, David, you're on. Well, I had wound a tissue around there to stop the bleeding, and just before I walked into the studio, I got rid of the tissue and squeezed my thumb. So when you see me walking out, what you don't know is that I was trying to stop the blood flowing.
David Berglas, this is Roller.
In part 2, you will meet some of the unexpected stars of show business, as well as many of my friends from my very active and varied life.